Its exploits are legendary.
It's the oldest DC-10 left in world flying.
A vintage airliner, reborn as the Orbis Flying Eye Hospital.
There's a huge number of people who do not need to be blind.
On a medical mission into the heart of Mongolia.
The airplane people's job is to get the hospital there.
But this flight is turning into a nightmare.
I don't need more problems, okay?
The Orbis team faces a rare crisis.
What we've had in the last 2-3 days, you don't have in a year of flying.
And the fate of the Mongolian mission is in jeopardy. From the outside, this DC-10 looks like just another passenger plane.
And here's the paperwork for signing off. All right.
But it's not. Inside is an operating room where doctors perform eye surgeries and share their expertise with aspiring colleagues in the world's poorest countries. Its last medical mission was in Lagos, Nigeria, 90 days ago. Now the Orbis team is heading to Mongolia's capital, Ulaanbaatar. Takeoff is just 48 hours away.
Airplanes like to fly, but we don't fly it very often.
Bruce Johnson is the director of aircraft operations for Orbis.
The job title actually says responsible for all aircraft operations. That's the pilots, the mechanics, the logistics, the flight planning.
Orbis makes as many as 8 trips a year to destinations around the world. Each medical program requires weeks of coordination. It's a logistical nightmare that produces happy endings. In the last 2 decades, Orbis has conducted over 200 programs in 77 countries, bringing better vision to nearly 15 million people. Since Nigeria, the plane has been parked in Dubai, literally collecting dust in the Persian Gulf.
Where a normal airline would show up an hour before, jump in the airplane, and expect it to go. We know better than that. I'd like to know what the current weather and temperature is. When you park an airplane, things have a tendency to either break or clog and need attention.
Bruce's team must do the mother of all pre-flight checks. An exhaustive top-to-bottom search for snags and glitches. And today's engine test has just revealed one. "6,000 kilometers away in Mongolia, hundreds gather at the National Central Hospital in Ulaanbaatar, hoping to be selected for treatment in the Flying Eye Hospital. They're all ages and suffer various afflictions, including cataracts and glaucoma.
I'll explain it to her. So if you could bring her to my room, I'll be there in 1 minute.
Okay.
Orbis Medical Director Dr. Hunter Cherwek is already here, meeting local doctors and arranging for their training during the plane's 3-week stay.
In Mongolia, there's a huge number of people who do not need to be blind. Their blindness could have been prevented or cured, about 80%.
Like many developing countries, Mongolia's healthcare needs outweigh its medical resources. Orbis will directly assist 150 patients, and the local doctors they train in the process will eventually assist thousands more. Back in Dubai, the maintenance crew has 48 hours to get the old DC-10 ready to fly. Rich Jorgensen, a former line mechanic at United Airlines, knows this plane inside out. And right now, he knows he's got an engine problem to solve. One of them is idling low. Rich suspects dirt has clogged a small but vital component, the compressor inlet temperature sensor.
That's the CIG sensor. And it senses the air temperature goes through here. And it hooks to the fuel control right here. So the fuel control knows what the air temperature is and it makes the fuel mixture accordingly. That's a good candidate for low idle. Good place to start.
The DC-10 has a distinctive profile, with 2 wing-mounted engines and a third at the base of the vertical stabilizer. 55 meters long, it rises 6 stories above the tarmac and stretches 47 meters from wingtip to wingtip. The Orbis Flying Eye Hospital first flew as a test plane for McDonnell Douglas in 1970. Today, it's the world's oldest DC-10 still flying.
It needs TLC, that's the big thing. It's just like if you're a classic car owner or whatever, they can be better than they came out of the factory if you maintain them right.
In 1992, philanthropists bought the plane and donated it to Orbis. Over the next 2 years, it was transformed from passenger plane to mobile hospital. The former first-class section is now a 48-seat theater where local doctors can follow surgical procedures as they happen in the OR in real time. Next is the pre-op laser exam room, a state-of-the-art operating theater, and finally, the recovery room. The changes cost $15 million and push the plane closer to its maximum takeoff weight of 455,000 pounds.
This airplane, with all the equipment we carry, is extremely heavy. It sits with no fuel in it, with people and its equipment, about 303,000 pounds, which is pretty heavy. When you add the 100+ thousand pounds of fuel we need, you're over 400,000 pounds.
With all that weight, the trip from Dubai to Mongolia needs 2 legs. First, 3,000 kilometers east to Calcutta, India. After refueling, it's another 3,000 kilometers north to Ulaanbaatar.
I need to look at the fuel loads out of Dubai and out of Calcutta to verify that I can take off during the time frames for which it's scheduled.
But exactly how much gas to take is a tough call. Load too much fuel, and the plane will exceed its maximum takeoff weight. But pumping too little is also asking for trouble. If they need to divert from Ulaanbaatar and head to an alternate airport, they could find themselves short. The decision about how much to take rests with Captain Gary Dyson.
This flight plan showed the 350. We may not be able to get there with the extra gas, but I'd still rather have the gas.
Yeah.
Gary's a FedEx pilot in command on the flight to Mongolia. Right now, his focus is on the forecast of hot temperatures in Calcutta.
So at 35, it's going to be too hot. I estimated 33. If you looked at all week, it was supposed to be 32, 33 is the high.
The higher the temperature, the thinner the air. And thin air is the enemy of aerodynamic lift. 3,000 kilometers from his first stop, Gary is already calculating his takeoff weight to get airborne from Calcutta.
For FedEx Cargo, there's so much oversight there and planning by the company on all this fuel and everything, but we're different out here. We're kind of on our own.
We were definitely right on the edge, there's no doubt.
Those temperatures could be way off, meaning if a thunderstorm would just move through there and cooled it off, it could be 10 degrees cooler.
I looked at the temperature all week, and the high temperature was 32.
Yeah.
So that's why I went with 33.
So we know we're good, and then based on the current situation, we'll make a decision as to how much gas to put on.
At the FedEx warehouse in Dubai, Heather Machin, the Associate Director of Nursing, conducts a pre-flight check of medical supplies.
Okay, so the first thing I have to do is make sure everything that the sheet says is here is actually here.
Like the flight crew, Heather plans for the unexpected. Her rule? It's okay to overpack on an Orbis flight.
We don't really know what kind of surgery we're going to see until we go and meet the patient. So I have to pack everything.
Orbis biomedical engineer Matt Duval has a checklist of his own.
Gas compressor. You don't have pressure on the system.
Testing every last piece of medical equipment.
For each piece of equipment, I have to do a work order or a specific test.
But first, he has to make sure it's all here.
Well, I'm looking for a defibrillator that they put in storage.
Matt has dozens of instruments to check.
Yeah, of course, the cart. Come along.
Any problems must be fixed now. In Mongolia, there may be nowhere to turn for help.
Great. We have to test on battery because when we go to move it, we have to unplug it. If there's a code, uh-oh, that's not good. It says it's low battery. I mean, this plane's been sitting here for 3 months, so you gotta expect something like that. But first I need to get the battery, get the cords.
In the desert heat, Rich struggles with the number 3 engine. A clog in its temperature sensor could be causing the low idle problem.
Got it there. Yeah.
Affected for you?
Okay, that's our CID, bro. All right. Thank
A
you.
replacement has just arrived, but swapping it out isn't like changing a light bulb.
And it is right in here where we can't get to. 4 bolts hold it on. Probably take us about an hour and a half to get to them.
The progress is achingly slow.
Well, it's wiggly. It's either broken or it's loose. And I haven't loosened up the other 2 bolts, so it might have been not quite right.
The temperature climbs to 45 searing degrees. But Rich keeps his cool. Takeoff is now just 24 hours away. But until the sensor is replaced and the engine's test fired, the Flying Eye Hospital won't be flying anywhere. The Orbis Flying Eye Hospital is due to leave Dubai for Mongolia in less than 24 hours. But an engine problem threatens the schedule. 3 hours into replacing a vital sensor, Bruce Johnson, Director of Aircraft Operations,
Almost, John.
and mechanics Rich and John are still struggling.
No space. It's just jammed up against all the other structures that's in between here. And then there's several other things around it. There's just no room.
But Rich has worked on DC-10s for 40 years, 7 with Orbis, and he won't be defeated.
We'll get it out. There's no such thing as can't. Never.
On board, Matt supervises the Orbis version of fastening your seatbelt, making sure the operating room equipment is tied down for the long flight to Mongolia.
If we take off and the equipment moves and shifts, it'll get damaged, and we can't afford that. It'll ruin the whole mission.
In the recovery room, Heather displays her skill at packing surgical supplies into every last nook and cranny.
I see this is one huge Tetris game, and I can fit things into the smallest spaces. So when we were doing the LD3s and packing everything, everybody was like, oh, you're not going to fit that in. I'm like, I'll fit it in. So spatial awareness. Whether I get all these sponges in is another question.
Back home in Australia, Heather is a specialist in ocular medicine. This will be her 17th mission with Orbis. Each one strengthens her commitment to the job.
Sometimes you go to a place, or when you're at home, you know that there's a lot of need in the world. But when we go to somewhere and we see that there's more and more need, we actually go away thinking, gosh, we need to do more. We need to do more, we need to do more. I think it's a wonderful thing that we're doing. Yeah, that's good. Excellent. And sometimes when we are together or we have a wonderful child, it's very emotional.
Outside, Rich and John finally get the sensor out.
Got it?
As Rich suspected, it's clogged with desert grit.
Even looking in there, you can see the dirt. Yeah.
With the new sensor installed,
We'll be ready to go. I'll get things ready up there.
Orbis is towed to the apron. So Bruce and Rich can check out the engines.
All right, John. Clear on 3.
Clear on 3.
If Rich's hunch is right, the low idle on number 3 should be fixed. And it is. One problem solved, but now, just 14 hours from takeoff, another problem comes up.
It's a disagree light.
A broken anti-ice valve.
When you turn it on, the valve's open, so it's telling you, here, go, turn it off. See, it says it disagrees.
Okay.
The switch is off, the valve's supposed to be closed.
Okay.
With the anti-ice valve stuck in the open position, the engines will burn more fuel, trying to melt ice that isn't there. But with the hot weather and thin air, adding extra fuel is not an option.
Assuming the temperature is 33 Celsius, we won't be able to take off out of Calcutta with an anti-ice valve problem.
Rich's solution? Wire the valve shut so Orbis can get on its way. It's quick and simple, but pilots Gary and Sam aren't so sure.
No. It's all right.
If we don't have any known icing conditions, we're okay. But we can't.
Yeah, we're right on the ragged edge with normal ops going out of Calcutta, though.
With it open. No.
Even if it worked properly.
Even if everything's normal. Yeah, I realize that. Yeah, we're that far from the wire. Yeah.
So
wait on it.
That's kind of what we're playing with here.
You're gonna look at the valve. We'll start the engine again, see if it works, and then go from there.
With it closed, we're okay as long as we don't have any known icing conditions.
All right. Let's see.
We should. Right. One thing at a time. One thing at a time.
87. 2287, going to 1987. 920 tower 1187.
The pilots are eventually convinced that Rich's fix is safe and within the DC-10's minimum equipment regulations. With just hours until departure, he wires the anti-ice valve shut. The move eliminates the need for extra fuel and avoids adding additional weight to an already heavy jet.
Everything has been fixed over here.
They're still cutting it close for a takeoff from Calcutta if the temperature climbs. But for now,
Take a look at these, Richard.
it's all systems go.
We don't expect any icing, so the safe thing was to make it stay closed.
Thanks a lot, Richard. Sure appreciate your work, buddy.
Okay. Wait
All
for
right.
balance.
Thanks again.
We just crank up, you guys disconnect, crank up, and we'll go.
Heather does a final check on the equipment straps,
Excellent.
then shifts gears. It's her turn to be a flight attendant, along with Dr. Gabriela Ruiz Gonzalez.
Flight attendants on both legs?
Yeah.
Okay.
It depends who's rostered as to what level of service you're going to have. I like to actually look after you, but other people will just put the chips on the counter and you have to get it yourself. So you're lucky you've got Gabriella and I today.
7 a.m., departure time. It's already 30 degrees in the shade.
Like the girls.
Check.
Yeah. Briefing.
Okay, we reach. 1, 2 right.
Gary lines up on the Dubai runway. Applies full throttle. And the Orbis mission is on. With the heat and 400,000 pounds of weight, Gary needs most of the runway to get the DC-10 into the sky. If everything goes according to plan, the Flying Eye Hospital will reach Ulaanbaatar in 10 hours. and the work of saving sight can begin. But first, breakfast. Gangadhar Jali from India is a skilled medical videographer.
No, if you don't want it, I'll have it. So you want omelette after all that?
And a fussy eater.
All right?
No.
No? No?
What is this? That's chicken.
Just check that you're happy with that.
Yeah, thank you.
You will eat and you will enjoy.
Enjoy your breakfast, sir.
It's worse than the real passenger.
At 4 p.m. local time, Orbis begins its descent. Early monsoon rains have lowered the ground temperature to a cool 27 degrees Celsius. It's all going well, a routine flight. And then, the mighty plane has just lost a third of its power. And the runway is coming up fast. On approach, the Orbis Flying Eye Hospital has a sudden loss of power in one of its 3 engines.
I got the throttle. Thank you.
The DC-10 is at 4,000 feet, descending through monsoon rain. On the flight deck, the pilots have just seconds to act.
You start gathering the data you have, look at the engine instruments. Is the airplane still holding the speed?
The crew quickly determines that the power loss is temporary and not a complete engine failure.
All right, well, let's get her head back in the game. 8-0, headed north.
After that, we flew the approach as if an engine had failed.
Windshield wipers.
Visibility was right at the minimum that was required for that approach. We weaved around a little bit, even after we started our descent, to avoid the heaviest of the rain. One little challenge after another, but that's what pilots get paid for. You know, a few minutes of terror during those times when it gets rough.
They're safely on the ground, but still 3,000 kilometers from their final destination, with worrisome questions about what just happened.
We saw indications in the cockpit that indicated it was probably a compressor stall on the number 1 engine.
Here's how it happens. Air entering the turbines is compressed by a series of fans and forced into the combustion chamber, where it's mixed with fuel and ignited. A sudden increase in pressure in the compressors can disrupt the smooth airflow. Exhaust gases suddenly reverse direction, causing a drop in power and potentially catastrophic damage. The team needs answers. What caused the compressor stall? And is the engine damaged beyond repair? Replacing it will take a week, putting the entire medical mission in jeopardy.
We lose the first week of the program, we lose the whole program. The days you don't want to be me. Normally, of course, you get this over the PA, right, for the airlines, right? Okay. Most of you probably heard the loud bang. We're pretty sure the number 1 engine had a compressor stall. We have to go inspect different areas, and we'll go do that. And I've already decided that the flight's canceled for right now. I do not want anybody calling Mongolia yet. Okay, I don't need this. I don't need more problems. Okay. Pretty soon, I'm handling a press problem when I need to be working on an airplane.
not going to get opioids through customs here and into Nepal. And I don't even want to get caught with trying to do that.
Heather and anesthesiologist Jonathan Lord prepare for Plan B. If the plane can't get to Mongolia, eye surgeries will be moved to a city hospital. But that means flying in medical supplies.
The question is whether they have enough stock in country. I don't know, I'll call Jackie or Hunter, whoever's on the ground, and ask them the bare minimum, like a 25 gauge IML forceps.
This much they know. The compressor stall is unrelated to the replaced CIT sensor or to the anti-ice valve that Rich wired shut. It's a new problem that he hopes will be solved by changing a bleed valve that releases air from the compressor.
Okay, let's go look at it. Here comes that one, it stops it. It's not stuck.
But the valve works perfectly.
Whoa! I can't help but see something wrong.
If you find something wrong, that way you know what to fix. But in this case, nothing wrong.
Bruce makes a call to longtime Orbis sponsor FedEx and their best engine mechanics for some advice on what to do next.
But you guys would agree, everybody agrees on a CF6-6D that a compressor stalls, you got to do a borescope. But I also have a medical program I'm supposed to be at in 2 days in Mongolia. Now I am not going to fly an airplane that's illegal to fly, but at the same time I can't wait a week or 10 days just to get it inspected either.
A borescope is a tiny camera on a flexible tube that will allow Rich to see inside the engine.
That'll tell us if there's any kind of damage to the internal parts of the motor, which they're telling me this engine is susceptible to internal damage when you have a compressor stall.
It's 10 o'clock. Orbis should be landing in Ulaanbaatar. But the engine problem has thrown a carefully plotted program into chaos. It's time to break the news to Dr. Hunter Cherwick and the rest of the Orbis team already in Mongolia.
Hey Hunter, this is Bruce. Hunter, this is Bruce.
Hey Bruce, what's the latest?
Well, we've got some bad news for you. We're in Calcutta and we're going to be in Calcutta till at least tomorrow morning. And I basically have got to investigate what's wrong, and I can't take the risk that there's possibly something wrong without investigating the problem. So.
For the first time in recent history, Orbis will be late. And if Rich can't nurse the ailing engine back to health, the entire medical mission will be in jeopardy. A compressor stall in engine number 1 has sidelined the Orbis Flying Eye Hospital. An internal inspection will reveal if it's damaged beyond repair. The fate of the Orbis medical mission to Mongolia is on the line.
That's what our job is, to get the hospital there. So if we don't do that, we're the ones who failed, you know?
Borescoping the engine is a 5-hour job. With the first surgery scheduled in less than 48 hours, Hunter and the medical team in Mongolia confront a grim prospect.
Flying Eye Hospital is currently in Calcutta, India. It experienced a mechanical problem.
Running the program without their mighty plane.
I was on the phone to Singapore, Beijing. We're scrambling all my contacts and all the team's contacts, trying to find out where we can get medical supplies. We're trying to bring in corneas for transplantation.
Orbis's worldwide team of volunteer eye doctors pitches in.
Dr. Garg, my name is DJ Horton, Orbis International. Welcome to Mongolia.
Dr. Prashant Garg from Hyderabad, India, is one of the world's best eye surgeons.
I'm carrying a pair of corneas donated by Singapore National Eye Bank. It was fun carrying them, particularly in the era where you can't carry even liquids on board, and I was carrying both eyes as well as liquids and human tissue.
The question is, will these corneas be transplanted in a Mongolian operating room or in the state-of-the-art facilities aboard the Flying Eye Hospital? That all depends on how things are going with the borescope.
Well, it does say if it doesn't move, that could be a reason why it's stalling, but with that being said, I want to make sure that we're doing it right.
The inspection of engine number 1 has been completed.
Very nice. Aha! Okay.
The interior of the engine gets a clean bill of health. But the celebration is short-lived. Rich still needs to pinpoint the cause of the stall before they can get back in the air.
We only proved one thing. Yeah, we don't know what we're doing.
Rich eventually discovers a tiny fault in the variable stator vanes. The vanes control airflow through the front compressor fans. They were being pitched incorrectly, allowing too much air to pass through to the blades behind them, resulting in a pressure imbalance and a compressor stall. A quick adjustment to the line that controls the pitch should solve the problem for good.
Can't know everything about this airplane or any airplane. So, I mean, I've been working on it for 40 years, and I all the time find out things that I've never touched before.
There's only one way to make sure Rich is right. A high-power engine run-up.
We're not comfortable going any faster.
This is the moment of truth.
All right, we're going to start 3, 1, and then 2, Rich. B4. Okay, so RPM should increase on N1, N2. For N1, we're at 20.7. It's plus or minus 2, so we're perfect. 100.5. I'm happy. You happy?
Looking good, man. Everything's looking good.
Looks like we're ready to go.
The Orbis mission is back on track. They'll be in Ulaanbaatar 2 days late, but still in time for the first scheduled surgery. Provided Gary, the captain, signs off on the repairs.
I would say we have a positive fix.
Well, with everything that you and Bruce have told me, I'm perfectly satisfied and have great confidence in the engine working just like it's supposed to. I have bought it one more time.
Yeah. What we've had in the last 2-3 days is like, you don't have all this in 6 months or a year of flying.
Latitudes, warning lights. Latitudes, ignition, radar, transponder,
Set.
lights. What's that got check?
Sets. Max power.
80 knots.
Check.
Rotate.
Positive rate gear up.
The Flying Eye Hospital is back on the move. From Calcutta, it's a 4-hour flight north into Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, where the Orbis medical team is assessing hundreds of people, all of them hoping to be selected for treatment in the Flying Eye Hospital.
We really try to find patients who really need it most and would never be able to get this care otherwise.
Munkundra Sukbatar, a 22-year-old student, is blind in her right eye and can barely see out of the other. The hope is a cornea transplant will dramatically improve the vision in her left eye.
I decided to do transplant keeping that fact in mind, that she is still studying, she is young, She has only that eye which has a potential for some improvement of vision. So if we are here, why not to help that lady to see the world?
3 years ago, local surgeon Dr. Mugi performed a transplant on Mukundra, but it didn't work. They have high hopes for a better result this time. A second chance at a transplant is almost unheard of in a country so short on medical resources.
I have so many waiting lists, but all cases not possible to include because 25 cases only selected, and wait list cases are still waiting.
Other thing that we left side.
11 p.m., 30 hours behind schedule. The DC-10 descends into Ulaanbaatar.
I hope you've enjoyed your flight. Please pick up all of your rubbish. Thank you for flying Air Orbis.
And makes a smooth touchdown.
Well, I think it all worked out kind of like we planned it coming in there. Thanks for all your help.
Very nice job.
For Orbis staff on the ground, the plane is a welcome sight.
Hey, buddy. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Hunter. Good to see you. Absolutely great to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Hey, Hunter!
But their first surgery is just 12 hours away.
Bruce! Ah, I'm doing well. We got it here. Yeah, hey, it's good.
And this DC-10 is a long way from being a functional eye hospital. On the tarmac at Genghis Khan Airport in Ulaanbaatar, the Orbis DC-10 is about to be transformed from plane to state-of-the-art eye hospital.
Yeah, we're getting ready to offload all our ground equipment and start to set it up in hospital mode.
Cube first, then accessories, then I'll move that into recovery.
The air compressor, air conditioner, vacuum pump, and generators are all medical grade and specially designed for the plane.
They have to have compressed air. They have to have electricity. It's probably the most important thing here. This stuff quits, we're done. They can't function without it.
The surgery and post-op rooms get a top-to-bottom scrub.
It's virtually like a real hospital back home.
Except for the 11 video cameras carefully positioned so local doctors can watch the surgeries in the classroom up front.
We've delivered the hospital and sort of the pressure's off a little bit for us. Pressure is now on the medical staff to get it done.
Within hours, the Flying Eye Hospital is ready for Dr. Garg and his surgical team.
Just for today, if we could keep our clothes on until we're behind a curtain, Jonathan, or in the bathroom, I would appreciate it.
No, we won't, John.
Hi. How are you?
You know, I think the amazing thing about Orbis is how flexible and adaptable we are. We've made it through the storm, and I think today's been a fantastic day, and I expect a great program.
She's nervous? Okay, understandable.
Now my first suture is in place. So I'm less worried about the cornea slipping over the viscoelastic into the fornix or over the sclera. These sutures basically decide on the distribution of corneal tissue in the recipient opening.
Our goal is really not how much we can do, it's how much we can show and how much we can get them to do after we leave. That's the whole purpose. It's not coming in and showing off, it's coming in and showing how.
Dr. Mugi, assisting Dr. Garg, begins sewing sutures in Munkundra's eye, but encounters scar tissue around the cornea.
The cornea is almost like a butter. When you pass the needle, it goes very smoothly through the tissue. But if you are suturing cornea to the sclerized or fibrosed, toughened tissue, you need more pressure on the side where the tissue is fibrosed. Sutures as of now, and the remaining 8 sutures we have to finish. She was finding it difficult to pass the needle, and therefore at the end of 2 sutures, she asked me to come back and take over. For sure that after this additional 4 days of training, she may again come back onto track. How is she feeling now? Pain she was having is okay?
If Munkundra's transplant takes, she will have clear vision in one eye. It will be life-changing. She'll find out when the patch comes off in 12 hours. The Orbis Flying Eye Hospital has completed its first day of surgery in Mongolia.
So in about 20 minutes, she should feel a little bit better.
Long days, long nights, lots and lots of work, but there's so much to do, and I'm happy to do it.
We have a tremendous impact on our patients, obviously, and the doctors we work with, but I think almost selfishly, the greatest impact Orbis has is on the crew. I think it's very easy to think you're a great doctor because you come from a high-resource center, but I can tell you that the best doctors I've met have been outside of my country. So it's been a very eye-opening experience, excuse the pun.
At National Central Hospital, Munkundra opens her newly repaired eye for the first time.
Can you see my hand? 5, 2, 1, 5. I was expecting some degree of improvement in vision, but not to that extent.
After performing 9 corneal transplants, Dr. Garg heads home to India. Tomorrow, new specialists will arrive to teach the latest techniques in pediatric and retinal surgery.
I'm looking forward to go home. It will be fun to see the family back. So let us keep in touch.
Dr. Garg leaves with a final word of encouragement to his proteges.
And best of luck. You are wonderful.
Journey.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I noticed this morning some of these look a little shiny, and they don't usually look shiny, so I went up and checked, and there's a lot of real fine sand has been picked up, and you can feel it on the leading edges. If it's a bad one, you have to file it out. See, like here, you see this one? There's a bad ding in it, and it's been filed out. But you file out the crack, or the ding, so it won't crack. If you leave it, it'll crack, it will break off, and now you've got big problems.
The Orbis DC-10 has logged more than 40 years of service as an airliner and eye hospital, but will soon be replaced by an MD-10, a newer model of the DC-10, donated by FedEx. Like its predecessor, the new jet will allow Orbis to take their expertise where it's needed most.
This is the 6th nerve nucleus here, and the nerve...
And will serve as a powerful symbol of their commitment to eliminating treatable blindness.
People will say you really don't have to have an airplane to do medical work, but it does draw public attention and awareness to what we're trying to do.
I'm making sure the plane's ready to go. I got 3 weeks to do it. So by then it'll be perfect.
Up next, the Orbis team flies to Central and South America. And this mighty plane will be ready to continue the job of saving sight worldwide.